Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Welcome to day 6 of spoiler season for patch 3.20. Yesterday was the big info dump, so if you missed yesterday's video, I'll put a link to it down in the description below. It's probably the most important single piece of news that we've got. Of course, it's a very long one because it is me summing up the live stream, which had a huge amount of information, and also the patch notes, which had even more. Today, we got a couple of much smaller teasers. The first one is an example of a sanctified relic. So these are something that are going to be a league exclusive item. These are not going to carry with your character when the league ends and migrates into standard. This is just an additional source of power that your character gets access to that is exclusive to the Sanctum League. However, this will be something that will persist both inside and outside the Sanctum content. So you will be able to benefit from this while you are mapping, as well as while you're running in the Sanctum. So far we've seen a couple of these and they're pretty powerful, but there's nothing mechanically new here. This was all covered in yesterday's live stream. The second piece of news we got is a video showing Val Caustic Arrow and Val Volcanic Fissure. I'll put a link down in the description below. Val Caustic Arrow looks like it has unlimited pierce and also looks like it just keeps dropping piles of goo on the ground. And there's been a bit of talk online. People don't think that it's going to stack with original Caustic Arrow, that it's basically just spamming the entire screen with lots of Caustic Arrows. Can't give a definite answer on that yet, but that's what I believe to be the case. Val Volcanic Fissure is a little bit more interesting. In some ways, its propagation is sort of like an abyss. Those of you that are familiar with endgame and mid-game abyss encounters will know that when they start, they sort of propagate in one direction, then there's an event that happens there, then they propagate in another direction, there's another event that happens there, and so on and so forth. We might or might not be able to control the propagation. We don't really have any clarification on that as yet. If we can control the propagation, like if you can dictate which way it goes by depending on where you stand, then this could be really strong. It's like it activates Volcanic Fissure 5 times, and that seems like it could be pretty strong. Everything is going to be dependent upon hard numbers on this gem, and it's something I want more information on than just this short video. But I will link this down below. It is from the official GGG site. The last thing that's come up has been one of the few really useful threads over on the PathOfExile subreddit, which is a comparison of the 3.19 Atlas and the 3.20 Atlas. Something that's really noticeable here is that there are a lot of new clusters, and that these new clusters all link, as was mentioned in the live stream, to the various sorts of content that you can block. So you've got 10 nodes here that allow you to block types of content: Metamorph, Abyss, Heist, Delirium, and so on and so forth. Each of these 10 types of content has received more support on the Atlas passive tree as well. To take a couple of examples, there is a Breach cluster here, which is a modified version of what existed in the previous incarnation of the Atlas. There is a number of additional Heist clusters. So this is a Heist cluster here. This wasn't in 3.19's Atlas. The Heist cluster up here was expanded from 3.19's Atlas. And the same is true for all the other mechanics as well. So if you're someone who really likes Abyss, you've got a cluster of 16 passives. That is 16, a lot of passives. That's going to be right up at the top of the tree here. And that looks like it could be something quite interesting. I love the thematic linkage to the content themselves that's found in the Atlas. So this here looks like an Abyss. Then this Breach cluster looks like a Breach hand. So that's one of those tiny things that's just a cool touch. Now, this is going to have some consequences on the way that you play the game. Something that may not immediately be apparent is that this is going to mean that there's going to be more of a pressure to hyper-specialize in your Atlas. My advice to people in Trade League is hyper-specialize in 2 or 3 types of content, and pick your favorite ones to start with. You can always respec if it turns out that one option is miles better than everything else later. But for starters, pick your favorite types of content. So if you're someone who really likes Expedition and Heist, then pick up all the Heist clusters, pick up all the Expedition clusters. If you've got any spare points, throw them into the third one. And then after you decide that you're sick of one of these clusters, respec out of it entirely, rejig your Atlas substantially. If you're not in Ruthless mode, you should have enough respec points to be able to do this. And then perhaps you decide, oh, you know what, I've had enough of Heist for now. I'm going to respec everything out of Heist. I'm even going to block it. And I'm going to put everything into Harvest instead. So that's going to give you a bunch of extra options there. All in all, I think this is going to be more choices, but these will be difficult choices sometimes. You are going to have to skip some nodes you genuinely want with this new passive tree, and we'll have to see exactly how it plays out. A couple of things that were mentioned in the live stream as well. Some of the boss areas are being substantially pared down. And that is because GGG are working on a new system where you can have a different method of advancing your bossing progress, but that isn't ready. That is not going to be in 3.20. Anyways, that's all I got for today. May your Valobs have interesting results, and I will see you around.